As someone who's been working exclusively with Sovol printers until now, adding a Qidi Tech Q1 Pro to my collection has been quite an adventure. After 3 months of use, I've made some tweaks, worked around a few quirks, and added custom upgrades that turned it into a reliable, though not perfect, printer. In today's video, I'll share my experience from fixing Wi-Fi issues to solving filament jams and improving the print process with a few modifications. And for all you Sovol users out there, stick around for a detailed Hotend replacement guide to see how Qidi stacks up, plus a special deal that can save you some money on devices and parts. Hi, I'm Gergo, and welcome back to Gergo Print 3D, where I share my adventures in 3D printing and laser working from week to week. A quick reminder, you can always turn on translation optimized subtitles and adjust the speed controls. Now let's get started with my 3-month journey with the Qidi Tech Q1 Pro. The first thing I noticed was the Qidi Tech's built-in Wi-Fi wasn't the most reliable. It's in the same room where I never had issues with any of my Sovols. Every time I turned the printer on, I had to reconnect to Wi-Fi, entering the password on the tiny screen. I eventually decided to plug in a Wi-Fi adapter in the USB port on the top, which I'm not using otherwise, and that instantly fixed the problem. No need to go fancy, I used an old TP-Link 2.4 GHz adapter, still proved to be better than the one included inside the printer. I might even take it apart and replace it internally. If you're planning to use this printer wirelessly, this could be something to consider upfront. Like many, I faced some trouble with the extruder jamming early on. I've talked about this in my review video in detail. It got so bad that I had to ask for a replacement Hotend, which Qidi's customer service handled quickly and smoothly. I was impressed with their response. They provided step-by-step instructions with useful video illustrations, and eventually they sent me a new Hotend. Stay tuned because later in the video I'll give you a detailed step-by-step guide on how to disassemble and reassemble the extruder and Hotend. It was an interesting experience for this Sovol user. I've seen some smart and some less smart solutions in there. Quick tip, don't ever retract to remove filament. This extruder doesn't like it. To prevent further issues, I'm now using that self-printed filament cutter I showed you last time to remove filament. This has kept it running smoothly ever since. One thing I came to appreciate is that we don't need to heat the nozzle to remove the filament here in this arrangement. Just cut it and pull it out. Another mod I made was moving the filament holder to the top of the machine and routing the filament with a piece of PTFE tube for smoother feeding. The stock holder doesn't have bearings, so as shown in my last video, I printed a spool insert from PETG to reduce friction. My STL for that is on Calls 3D, simple but effective. Now let's talk about print quality. The Q1 Pro comes with good stock Orca profiles for many types of filaments, something Sovol could really learn from. Overall, the bed adhesion is reliable, even too reliable when printing ABS. For those running ABS, ASA or TPU prints, I highly recommend using glue stick as a separation agent to avoid it sticking too well. For PLA or PETG, it's been perfect. Before we continue, if you're finding this video helpful or interesting, please hit that like button below. It helps the channel out a ton. By the way, if you're in the market for a new 3D printer or accessories, Geekbuying.com has their National Day sale running up until October the 7th. You can score some great deals, and there's even an extra $30 discount with a new promo code below. If you've been waiting to upgrade or grab some new gear, now's the time. While the transparent plastic doors and top might not be an issue for most users, they are not great if you're filming. For those of us making YouTube content, the reflections and distortions can be a hassle. Just something to be aware of if you're into filming your prints like I am. Speaking of the top, it has to be removed for PLA printing, just like any other enclosed printer, but there's nowhere convenient to put it. I actually prefer the design of the Sovol SV08 where the top can slide in place. But hey, that's just a personal preference. On the plus side, I do like how the front door has enough friction to stay open, something I'm still struggling with on my SV08. Some clever upgrade will need to be devised there. Stay tuned for that. Another thing to note, the preprint calibrations on the Qidi tech can be a bit slow. The Q1 Pro is very thorough, but it takes its sweet time. Nothing beats my ultimate upgrade to the T300s, of course, when it comes to instant starts. It's not a deal breaker, but if you're used to a snappier start, it's something you'll notice. In contrast, the quick heating chamber is still a standout feature for me. When preparing to print sensitive filaments, by the time the longish preprint preparations are complete, the insides of the printer have already reached a stable 50-55 Celsius, something almost impossible to reach with the enclosure on the SV08. With the small upgrades I've made, the Qidi Tech Q1 Pro is now a reliable printer. It's not the fastest, but even with the stock presets, it gets the job well done, and I've learned to work with its quirks. Alright, now for the moment you've all been waiting for, maybe not. Whether you're a Qidi Tech user needing to replace your Hotend or a Sovol user curious to see how Qidi does things. I'm about to walk you through the full step-by-step process of replacing the Hotend here. Trust me, whether you're familiar with Sovol or trying to learn more about Qidi Tech, you'll want to see how this works. Step 1. If you're only accessing the extruder, you can start with step 2, actually. However, I do recommend removing the back cover even in that case, because the part cooling fan on the front cover is plugged into the back. Without unplugging, the fan will just dangle, held by a thin wire that can only be unplugged after removing the 4 screws holding the back of the tool head. The Sovol SV08 does this much more cleverly, in my opinion, with the plug right under the front cover, making it much easier to access. Just be careful to remember where to plug it back in. You'll see the Qidi makes matching plugs and headers easier. The Qidi Q1 Pro's extruder fan heater and thermistor cables are also plugged into the back, so removing the back cover is mandatory for replacing the Hotend. Step 2. The Q1 Pro uses magnets to hold the front of the toolhead cover, similar to the SV08. However, Qidi added a neat trick. 2 tiny pins at the top hook the cover in place, preventing it from popping off during prints. You need to pull the front of the cover forward and then lift it upwards to unhook. One advantage of the filament cutter mod I'm using, it adds extra security to the cover by preventing accidentally unhooking, so we'll need to remove it now to proceed. The filament runout sensor here is built right into the extruder itself, much more logical than Sovol's placement half a meter away. While Sovol uses simple micro switches, Qidi's system seems more advanced, potentially able to measure filament width, though it's unclear if the software uses this. Still, even Qidi's sensor isn't trouble-free. It can stick in the open position, failing to signal filament runout. But this is easily fixed by adjusting the spring tension inside. Step 3. 2 screws hold the extruder part together. If you suspect a jam or want to increase filament tension, you'd have to remove those, but this isn't necessary for Hotend replacement this time. Unlike Sovol's fold-out doors and externally accessible tensioning screws, as seen on the SV06, 7 Plus, SV08, and even on the T300, Qidi's design requires complete disassembly for access. No levers, knobs, or easy filament removal features here. It's more complicated, but that's the design here. To remove the Hotend though, we only need to take out the 2 screws at the bottom and unplug the remaining 3 color-coded plugs in the back. Sovol, take note, color coding here is awesome. Of course, we can do our own color coding using Sharpies before unplugging things, but still, ensure the nozzle is cooled down sufficiently, then carefully tilt the assembly to free the extruder fan from above the inductive probe and slide out the Hotend assembly, which includes the 2510 fan cooling its cold side. 3 screws attach the heat block under the well-fitted silicone sock, which doesn't slip off like it tends to do on the SV06 and SV07 Plus. The high flow nozzle is threaded into the Hotend here, whereas Sovol initially used friction pressed nozzles that caused PETG issues we talked about earlier. Qidi's threaded design is much more reliable, which I'm happy Sovol is beginning to apply in their upgraded nozzles. Step 4. Qidi sent the replacement Hotend pre-assembled. All I had to do was slide it below the extruder, screw it in with the 2 bottom screws, and reconnect the color-coded plugs, blue, white, and black. And don't forget to reconnect the part fan's green plug, and the red header is unused. Step 5. Hook the top of the front cover onto the pins, fold it down, add the cutter, then reattach the back cover with its 4 screws, ensuring all cables are properly routed. With the Hotend replaced, you will need to rerun the initial leveling to acquire new Z offset and even run PID tuning for the nozzle, since the new thermal characteristics are probably different. For me, this Hotend replacement fixed the extruder problems, at least for the time being. I wish I didn't have to be this familiar with the Q1 Pro's extruder system. I've never needed to take apart the toolhead on any of my Sovol printers. The only reason I took apart the SV06 Pluses in the beginning was simply out of curiosity. Sovol's external tensioning levers, fold-out doors, and manual feeding knobs make maintenance a breeze and minimize filament jams. These features are sorely missed on the Qidi Q1 Pro. That said, once you know the Qidi's quirks, it's a solid system as well. The extruder performs consistently across different filament types, and it's reliable once you make small adjustments, both physically and in your habits of using it. And if you do need to take it apart, it's not the end of the world. A big shout out to Qidi Tech's support team for their prompt assistance and helpful responses. I'd like to give a huge thanks to my first Ko-fi supporters. I now have 3 one-time supporters, and I'm grateful to Ola Orgast and Rogdoc for becoming the first sustaining members. If you enjoy my content, consider joining this group of OG supporters over on Ko-fi to help keep these projects going. Thanks for watching, and if you haven't already, don't forget to like and subscribe. Have you seen my detailed review of the Qidi Q1 Pro? And how about these tips for my Sovol printers? Until next time, go print 3D. This is Gergo from Gergo Print 3D, signing off.